Hi, I'm Brent Haiti, mentor, coach, and ideal life architect with One Wave Life, and this is Calm Waters. Inspiring stories of people being their best self, living their ideal life, and experiencing balance and real success along the way. Listen in and let their stories inspire you to create and live a rewarding and successful life steeped in feelings of clarity, joy, freedom, and purpose. All right. I am super excited today for another conversation. This time we're going to be talking with Thea McKee of McKee Financial. And I've known Thea for a long, long time. I am super excited to have you here today. Welcome, Thea.
Welcome to you into my home.
Thank you. Now, tell us a little bit about your work, about your business and McKee Financial before we kind of dive into more about you and you living your ideal life. What kind of work do you do? What do you specialize on? And let our listeners know a little bit about your working world.
Sure. I'm self-employed. I'm in the financial services business. I have investment clients and I have insurance clients. And I've been in the insurance business since 1986 and in the investment business since 1994. So that has been a long climb to develop a clientele in both of those areas. And the clients in both of those client bases, though, are the reason I get up and go to work every day. In terms of I have long-standing relationships with most of my clients. And so it feels like I'm talking to old friends every day.
Nice, nice. And that's a part of what we'll just kind of shift right along into next, which is really about why you get up and do what you do each day. Your purpose, your underlying purpose, your ikigai, if
Mm.
we say that, the reason for being. Of course, through my work, through One Wave Life, we talk about the One Wave lifestyle, the ideal life. And it's a part of it is your work, a part of it is your business, if you have a business. But of course, a part of it is beyond that.
Mm.
You've come a long way over those many years in developing both of these businesses, and in order to get to where you're at now, in fact, I've heard you kind of share or describe that you're living your dream,
Mm.
living your dream. I can't remember the exact words that you used, but it was something along that
I'm
line.
living the dream.
There you go. So what is that to you? What does that mean, to be able to live the dream?
Joy, laughter, happiness, not being bogged down by stresses about things that I can't control or things that are really uncontrollable.
Mhm.
Uh, Having people to be with, whether it's family or chosen family or clients. I have a great office set up um, that I was away from for 30 months and went back to it after COVID, uh, that 30 months of COVID, and the office is still intact. All the people are still there. It's just like
Mhm.
it's 30 months later, but not much has changed. So, it's the people, it's
Yeah.
the age and stage that I'm at right now, having freedom to make choices
Yeah.
that I feel grateful for, and I know that I'm lucky to be able to make them.
Nice. Yeah, there's a number of those things which are really at the
Mm.
foundation, at the core. You speak of, joy and happiness, to be able to do things that you love to do, to be able to
Mhm.
be around people that matter. People is another big one, of course, and we've all certainly had our own unique experiences during this time of the pandemic, and a part of that shift away from, if you will, but the return to connecting with individuals kind of live and in person, as you mentioned, in the office. When you're self-employed, a solopreneur in many respects, there's a lot of things that we do by ourselves, but the connection with an office, the connection with colleagues or with support team is really it's really the group that we have as a self-employed person. Myself, I'm
Mm-hmm.
the same, right?
Yeah.
Um, Tell me more about the joy part
Mm.
at home or away from work versus at work. Being, where you're at now, kind of living the dream. What brings you joy? Let's do one at a time there. Talk about work maybe first. What brings you joy in the work that you are now doing that maybe wasn't always the case?
I think being at this, I'm not at the end of my career, but I'm certainly at the last quarter of it, the last third of it, the last phase of it. So I'm thinking that my career and my life may end in similar years. Um, but laughter is really important to me. Having fun every day is really important to me. And having fun every day is a real barometer for me. And sometimes I find myself in, but if I feel like I'm I'm in a situation where when those I'm confronted by those things, I'm like that doll that you bang over and it bounces back. You
Right.
bang it, you punching bag and a ball, you punch it over and it bounces back.
Yeah.
I like to get back to laughter and fun.
Right.
So that's kind of a guiding principle for me these days, and probably has been for, well, I would say it's been at least 10, 20 years. And
Yeah.
sometimes I don't honor it the way that I want to. I give the benefit of a doubt about things, or I stay in situations longer than is fun and laughable.
Yeah.
But eventually, when I go to myself, the recesses of my mind, I think, is this fun?
Yeah.
Am I having fun anymore? Or
Yeah.
if I'm still, it's a pretty good barometer to decide whether I should stay involved and do this, whatever it is, or make changes to move out of it.
I love it. That's an excellent metric. It's one that's pretty easily observable in yourself,
Yeah,
or asking of someone else
yeah.
for feedback in terms of what they see of you. And
Mm,
when you look at that and you can discover that, yeah, it's on track, or I'm making the adjustments and it's there, and you are living with laughter in your world,
mm.
and it spins off into many of the other positive benefits that can come from that, then that's great. That's, for you, like you say, that's part of living your dream. And then on the other hand, if it's not so, it allows you an opportunity to then decide if and what you need to make some changes to.
Well, and it's interesting, just of late, I've had a couple of experiences where the situation itself wasn't ideal, but bringing laughter to it,
Mm-hmm.
maintaining the sense of humor around the situation,
Mm-hmm.
really diffused it, really made it easy to come out of it. And so generally I'm not a very patient person, but I've learned to be, and I'm still learning to be.
Yeah.
And sometimes I can get very serious about things, and if I remember about fun and laughter, I just feel lighter and things become lighter.
Nice.
Mm.
Nice. You also mentioned freedom as a part
Mm.
of living the dream. What does that mean to you, and how are you able to achieve and have freedom in your world?
The freedom can be an ethereal thing. It can be between your ears,
Yeah.
having this freedom mindset.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it also can have reality to it, which is freedom of schedule,
Mm-hmm.
freedom of finances,
Mm-hmm.
freedom of health,
Yeah.
freedom in relationships. So there's various levels of freedom, and I think that generally, I have been blessed with a very strong mother, strong in terms of believing in me and basically telling me I could do whatever I wanted to do,
Yeah.
and didn't impose, didn't put up guardrails, um, just allowed me to believe that I could do, be, and have whatever I wanted. Now,
Nice.
the truth is, we achieve according to our own ability and capacity, but I think that right now I'm healthy. I have a healthy mindset. I'm financially capable of making decisions within my sphere of decision making, that I have freedom to do whatever I want, financially. I have a business that doesn't require 16 hours a day. And I'm in a marriage that encourages me to continue to reach and grow and strive and be out there and continue to have as full a life as I want to. So, I mean, every day it's kind of like, okay, what do I want to do today? What I have to do today? And then I get on with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Love it. Yeah. And it all begins, like you say,
Mm,
with proper mindset.
yeah.
And that mindset may have come from an influence like your mother from
Mm,
way back.
yeah.
But it plants a seed and it sets the seed. And if we have, or if we work to reattain a freedom kind of a mindset, then those other freedoms you mentioned, freedom of health,
Mhm,
freedom of within relationship, freedom of time, and freedom financially, all of those are ones that we can work towards creating more and more of in our world. And of course, as
mhm,
we have freedom, then we get to choose
mhm,
what we choose. Might be the critical next thing after that. And as you're describing, and I love how you say it, the ability to really kind of design and
mm,
define your days, each and every day,
yeah.
and making sure that it's one, like you said, that um, has laughter as a part of it,
Mm,
and has you feeling by the end of each of those days that hopefully that this was a great day.
mhm,
So
mhm,
um, now I suspect it wasn't always this way. It
mm.
has evolved over time to get to where you're at now, and to be able to have those freedoms and have those experiences as you are. So um, as you know, as I tend to speak so often about the barriers and blocks that are in our way, whether it be imbalance or stress or burnout or other challenges, both in our private life as well as in our working world, um, that we need to overcome. So, in your experiences along the way, um, were there any key challenges that stood on your path at some point in the path as you began this career that you're involved in, as you have evolved over the time between when it started to now? Um, what kind of big things were there that you really needed to overcome to allow this experience now to happen?
You know, I'm stuck on the word challenge because
Okay.
I, I'm not sure I really recognize challenges. Um, I know that when we do business planning and market planning and all that kind of working
Sure.
in the business or on the business, that challenges and obstacles and opportunities are words that we kind of bounce around. Um, I think that for me, accomplishments have really been accomplishments are the result of my own creativity and my own inventiveness, my own desires. Because, I can sit and be quite content just doing what I'm doing every day, every week, every month. Um, Boredom's never been an issue for me.
Hmm.
Um, I suppose there's some, you could think, challenges in terms of, if I want to do a certain thing and there's a requirement for education or experience, then you have to get the education or the experience. I think there are sometimes there have been tough parts in my life
Mhm.
around relationships and how much energy, being in a tough relationship, how much energy is taken up.
Mhm.
And if a person's devoting so much energy to something that's not giving back energy, then I guess that can be a challenge. And for me, it just became something I became aware of, that I wasn't getting what I was giving. And so I needed to make some decisions around that.
Yeah.
And so those are opportunities to make improvements in my life, and
Yeah.
to go towards fun and laughter.
Yeah. A beautiful framing of it, where one person, when you think about a relationship uh,
Mhm.
situation that you determine is in need of a change in some respect or another, and one person would look at it as a challenge, as a concern, as a
Mhm.
barrier, as a roadblock. Um, and at times it might certainly feel that way, but as you're kind of framing it, once you've, I guess, understood where it's at
Mhm.
and what it's bringing to you versus what it's not, and decide that a change needs to take place, then it can almost be looked at like an opportunity, like a step or an evolution in the direction of laughter, as you say, in
Yeah.
the direction of joy, in the direction of other things that you might want to respect. So how are you able to, in that particular instance or during that time or that phase, how are you able to stay connected to that type of a mindset, that kind of a framing, um, and not be kind of pulled into the negativity, I guess, if you will, or just the framing of, the kind of the looking backwards, the challenge, the obstacle, the barrier that may pose more problems than solutions. Was there
Yeah.
something in particular or something you
Well,
did?
no, I think there are some built-in conflicts that I experience, and that is the push-pull of wanting to give it your all, wanting to do everything that I'm capable of doing to make things better for both or for all.
Mhm.
And then on the other end, going, this isn't fun, this isn't joyful, this is a slog.
Yeah.
And so, I think at a certain point, though, although I don't get to that point quickly, in fact, I wish that maybe in another lifetime I could get there quicker, to
Don't we all, though?
yeah, to get to that place where, this isn't going to change, this isn't going to get better. It is what it is, accept it and move on.
Yeah.
And I think for me, once I get to that point of where I know it's not going to get any better, no matter what I do, then it's
Mhm.
easy. Then
Mhm.
then it's just easy. Okay, this is what has to happen, and I get on with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, how do you know when you're at that point? Is
Relief.
there something,
Yeah.
like you say, you wish that you could get there sooner? And I can relate to that because I've been in situations where when you finally get to that point, you think, oh boy, if I just would have been
Mhm.
here a long time ago, things would have maybe been a little easier, or we moved a little further forward, or what have you. But um, is there a trigger that you now know, or a sign that you now see to kind of suggest to you that, okay, I understand it, I see it now, enough's enough, time to move forward?
I think given the 30 months of COVID, which again, at where I'm at in my life, I mean, I'm of the age where a lot of people my age have been retired, and some for a long time.
Hmm.
I feel robbed of that time. And so I'm really grateful to be where I am. And I really don't think I'm going to be in that situation very often in the future, because those challenges, obstacles, difficult situations don't exist in my life right now. So, and that's by design. Certainly I've shed some responsibilities this year through this process, and I'm reluctant to take on other responsibilities, mainly volunteer things, which I've been involved in the volunteer sector here in my community for over 20 years,
Yeah.
and I no longer am. So, in some ways, I've kind of controlled my environment. I've got a great home, I've got a great partner, I've got great work, clients. So, something could change in all of that, because life does throw you curveballs from time to time. But I think so. Leading up to it, I'm not sure this old dog is going to learn too many new tricks. But once I've made decisions to move on, I
Yeah.
feel this great sense of relief.
Yeah.
And once I experience that, I
Mhm.
know I'm on the right path.
Right.
Yeah.
And that can be so powerful, right?
Mhm.
To have that weight lifted from your shoulders,
Yeah.
that clarity of forward direction that
Yeah.
allows you to start to move in that way. So you've
Mm.
you mentioned maybe you can't teach the old dog the new tricks, but if you were to have a conversation with the younger version of you
Mm.
and want to teach that younger version some of the tricks that you did learn along the way in this, what is there maybe a few things, maybe three things that you would say
Mm.
from a point of wisdom, from a point of understanding, from a point of having lived it, that could help that younger version of you move forward in maybe a more timely manner, maybe a more effective manner, maybe a kinder, gentler manner. I don't know. What would that be? What would some of those things be, do you think?
That's an interesting one, because it seems to me, to answer that question with any kind of energy, there has to be regret.
Okay.
And, I don't want to regret my life. I prefer to say that may not have been the best time of my life, or that may have not been the best of me in that time of my life,
Yeah.
but I don't want to regret. So I think, though, that if I had trusted my intuition a little bit quicker, sooner, I might have been able to reduce the amount of time in some of the things that I've invested a lot of time and energy in. If I had used my intuition a bit earlier, I might have been able to make decisions that might have had a better result, a happier result, because whenever you leave something that you've been invested in, for me at least, there is some grief, there is some sadness. This thing has been around and with you for a long time. It's kind of like you've nurtured this thing for a long time and now it's done. So I think trusting that, it's funny, I'm in the financial services business, and if I had known then, like a long time ago, what it feels like to be debt free in every way. I've always kind of said in my financial services business, if we have our consumer debt under control, that's great. That's really important. Most of us don't have freedom from mortgage debt, because it's a big long-term commitment.
Sure it is.
But having zero debt really, really does give a sense of you can do anything you want.
Yeah.
So so that's a practical thing that a lot of people can aspire to. And I think that sometimes settling for things or having or trade-offs. I'm willing to trade this to get that,
Yeah.
or I'm settling for this to get that. Um, that I think is a part of a reality when you're involved with other people. But sometimes I think for me, it's meant that it's taken me a bit longer to get to that joy and happiness because I've been willing to settle. And then I get to a point where I can't settle. And then I just have to make those decisions. So, but at the end of the day, I don't regret anything that I've done, and I wouldn't make big changes. I might have made them a bit sooner. That's all.
Yeah. We need to live our path.
Yeah.
But the message of no regret, the
Mm.
message of looking at it rather than from the lens of regret, rather, from the lens of learning and understanding and evolution and growing, trusting your intuition. I mean, that's a great message all along.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can trust it sooner, then maybe we can move forward sooner. But if we just simply reinforce the mindset of intuition and trusting it, then that'll naturally happen. The freedom of debt is an interesting one and a powerful one, and of course, it makes a whole lot of sense that when we don't have debts, when we are essentially in a position of being more financially free, then we can make a whole different form or level of decisions around our world. The fact that we live in a very debt-focused society, I imagine for a lot of people makes that very difficult. So it's nice to hear that when, and you being in the industry that you're in, that when we can get to that point, when we can you move along the path, the continuum towards that point, that it just brings on that ability to live more freely and to live the life and the lifestyle that you love, that you want, more happily and more joyfully.
Yeah, the perspective, when a tragedy or a good thing, either way, happens to an individual in a family, it happens to all the family members too.
Right.
The waves affect everybody. And if they're good waves, that's great. And if they're not good waves, then, the family gets impacted by the negative thing that's happening with a person. And I'm seeing the waves of having no debt and seeing what that does to my immediate family and then to my extended family. There are these wonderful positive waves that allow me to be spontaneous and generous. And if I were limited by purchase decisions that I made a long time ago, where I'm still carrying that debt, it would limit my freedom to be generous and spontaneous. And, so it's interesting. As always, when I talk to you, Brent, I get these ahas. And I'm thinking of a situation right now that I'm working on with a client where I would like to be more fulsome in my discussions with them about debt and the freedom that they could feel if they could just embrace and trust that they can live debt free. So, yeah.
And when you can speak, from your own experiences, of course, that holds a whole lot more weight. The things that we can do with time, with financial freedom, with health and energy and vitality, it's endless. And that's when we speak about the one wave lifestyle, when we speak about the life and lifestyle that we truly want to live, what matters most to us, there are elements, elements around contribution. And you spoke before about volunteering
Mm-hmm.
and giving of your time and your energy and your resources. And now you speak about from a financial standpoint and being in a position to give
Mm-hmm.
financially in some way or another that's important to you. And those are some of the things that I think many people, as we do move towards being in a position of living what we perceive to be our ideal life, our one wave lifestyle, they're some of the ones that come into consideration. Yes, we want to continue to earn an income, perhaps a very high income, or we want to have the means in place to shift into semi-retirement, and then retirement to continue to do the things that matter to us, to make a difference, to
Mm-hmm.
have an impact on ourselves and those around us, especially those that are very close and important to us. And then as we move forward, there's the legacy we leave. There's the impact that we left. There's the difference that we made. So as you look ahead there
Mm-hmm.
and you continue to live your ideal life as it is now, live the dream, as you say,
Mm-hmm.
what's next for you? How do you continue to move this forward for yourself, around your work, around your personal life, around uh, the direction that you will continue to head, so that it does continue to bring joy and laughter and positive impact in a way that you want? Where are you headed?
Learning's always been a passion of mine. And
Okay.
I started as an educator and spent a whole bunch of time with high school students and in that role. And so learning to do new and different things, putting myself into new and different situations.
Yeah.
This past summer I was able to resume dragon boat racing,
Yes.
and I just thought, wow, that means that I'm going to open myself up to 21 new people, because that it's 22 on a boat.
Yeah.
And how good is that when you can be, an adult, sometimes working from home, where, there aren't a lot of people that come into my home door in a day, but to
Yeah.
all of a sudden meet 21 new people, and everyone's got a story and everybody's got a history. And
Yeah.
so putting myself in new situations, whether it's travel, just came back from Morocco.
Yeah.
Boy, there's a ton of learning you have to do as
Yeah.
soon as you start day one. So I think also being more available with family opens up opportunities to learn about them and what's important to them,
Yeah.
and whether to stand by and witness or to jump in and participate. There's still always learning to be done. So I think that for me, I'm just going to continue to pursue new and different opportunities, and just continue to live the dream every day, and hope I can do do the best I can every day.
Nice. And I love those experiences. And there's always growth,
Mm-hmm.
whether that be growth in interaction and understanding and knowing of others, whether they are teammates on a dragon boat
Team.
um, team, or whether they are people that you meet going to somewhere like Morocco, a completely different culture, and learning and
Mm-hmm.
understanding of those individuals and how they live, and what's going on in their particular part of the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about learning that can continue to help us to grow personally, and I love that that's something that you're focused on. So
Mm-hmm.
do you have a next thing, a next
Mm-hmm.
activity that you want to dive into, or one that you've always kind of thought about, or a next destination for travel, for instance, that's kind of on your radar that you're looking ahead to?
Yeah, I over a couple of years ago, I decided that I would end a trip with some commitment about the next one, just to keep the continuation and the momentum
Sure.
going. And so in 2014, I did a piece of the Portuguese Camino, and it whet my appetite. And I didn't really know when or if I would go back and do another Camino.
Mhm.
And so since then, my awareness around all kinds of pilgrimages has grown. And I mean, there are pilgrimages to Santiago, to Rome, to Jerusalem, for example. And so next year, we're going to do a piece of the Via Francigena, which starts in Canterbury, England, and actually goes all the way down to the heel of Italy. And the more common piece of the Via Francigena is from Canterbury to Rome.
Okay.
So next year, we're going to take time off work, have a friend come and live in our house and look after our kitties and our house. And we're going to go and walk probably several 100 kilometers. I don't know how long we're going to be at this point. We're still planning,
Yeah.
but we're going to do a combination of walking in England, France, Switzerland, and Italy. And we're going to take on something new that we've never done before, which is e-bike. Do some e-bike
Interesting.
touring along that.
Yeah.
So that's the fall project right now, is to figure out when we go, for how long we go, and what we do there.
Beautiful. Sounds like an
Mm.
incredible journey, and like you just said, it's nice to have a next journey,
Mhm.
a next
Yeah.
activity, a next event um, in the plans when you're
Yeah.
finished another one. And so you've got something, and one like this requires,
Mm.
certainly sounds like it's going to require a lot of planning, a lot of logistics,
Yeah.
the preparation, but wow, what an experience that will be, and what stories you'll have to share when you come back from that and begin planning the next thing. So
Yeah,
um
and you know what's also cool about it is it could be a long time away. And recently we've decided that maybe the 90 days is a long time to be away from home, business, and kitties.
mhm,
And the freedom that we've talked about in this session together today um, has allowed us to kind of think, well, maybe we don't do the whole thing next year. Maybe we do half of it, maybe do a third of it, and
mhm,
we'll come back and revisit the pieces and parts that we haven't done. And I know that we have the freedom financially to do that. And it's just a matter of and health and what else might come up that we would prefer to do instead.
exactly. And I think um I often will suggest to people when we kind of get caught up in the maybe the self-doubt or the uncertainty about things is to just shift our mindset from that can't be done to how can that be done.
Mm-hmm.
Then we begin to explore, and maybe it's 90 days, or maybe it's broken up into chunks, or maybe it's this way, or maybe it's that way. But
Right.
once you at least have that openness of dialogue, then you're going to find the way that works perfectly for you.
That's
And
right.
the fact that you have got to the point now of having the freedom to ask that, be able to ask that question, and the ability to now act on however you
Mm-hmm.
design it is really what it's all about. So thank you so much, Thea, for taking
Mm-hmm.
some time to chat with me today. I've really enjoyed kind of going down this path of looking at your evolution to
Mm-hmm.
freedom that you now have of living the dream, living your dream. So one last question, and this is one I love to ask is what is the answer to the one question that I should have asked you today on our topic, but did not ask you? Is there something that you kind of thought, I wish you would have asked that? And here's what that answer would be. Kind of just throw you right under the bus with this one without a whole lot of a whole lot of lead time or preparation for it.
No, I think the conversation has been fulsome. And, fun and laughter sounds trivial, but it's in all of us. And, you know, I, no matter what the situation is, I see Zelensky having a laugh with somebody, and we all know what his and their reality is. And that's pretty extreme. And we all know somebody that's sick and whatever it is that we can do every day to bring some joy and laughter to ourselves, and then share that and spread that.
Share it with others. Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. Sometimes it's hard to do, but the mantra, the pathway is simple. So no, I don't think there's anything else that you could have asked. It likely would have circled back to fun and laughter.
Perfect. So there's a wonderful message, a wonderful takeaway, to no matter the situation, try to be able to see some portion or some position of joy and bring a little bit of laughter, even in some of the most dire situations. And hopefully that will help give the strength, the inner strength, or the combined strength of others to help us move through and help us into a more positive situation in our world. And it begins the evolution, the shift, the change to what really matters and what one wants most for their lives. So once again, thank you so much for your time today, Thea, and I do look forward to talking again very soon.
You will. Thank you, Brent.
Bye for now.
And you. Bye-bye.
Well, that's it for today's episode. Thanks for listening. I hope you've been inspired to rise above the waves of work and life that currently crash down all around you, and to harness their power as you begin to ride wave after wave of change towards the calmer waters of your ideal life. If you enjoyed this podcast, please consider sharing it on social media or directly with someone that you know needs to hear its message right about now. One last thing. If you're ready to step onto your pathway of change, then consider joining us in our One Wave global community. Our members are people just like you. They share many of the same challenges that you face. They want to create and live their version of an ideal life, and they love the form of mutual support that our community brings. Come check us out at onewaveglobal.com. Until next time, be healthy, be happy, and live fully.